So once again, the format of an IP address, in this case IP version 4, is a 32-bit binary number. It's divided into 4 parts, or 4 octets, which are 8 bits or 1 byte in size. So an IP address could be written as follows in binary in dotted decimal notation, or it could be written as follows in dotted decimal notation. So just to summarize, it's a 4-byte number or 32-bit number, typically written in dotted decimal notation, but be aware that it's actually a binary address of 32 bits. Please refer to the binary videos if you're not sure about the formatting or conversion of binary to decimal and back again. An octet is 8 binary bits or 1 byte. 1 byte equates to 8 binary bits. So an IP version 4 address consists of 4 octets, such as x.x.x.x, where x is an octet or 8 bits or 1 byte. Now, using our street analogy again, it's possible to have the same house number on different streets. So house 1 could be on Oxford Street as well as Cambridge Street. House number 1 should just not appear twice on the same street, but number 1 is permitted on different streets. In the same way here, it's possible to have number 1 on network 10.1.1.0/24, as well as number 1 on network 12.1.1.0/24. The same number can appear on different networks. I'll explain the /24 in a moment when we discuss network masks, but in this example, we have network 10.1.1.0 and 12.1.1.0, and it's possible to have multiple devices with the host portion of the IP address set to 1. The same host portion can appear twice, as in this example, or many times in a network or the internet, as long as the network portion is different. Now, one thing you'll learn about networking is that things are constantly changing. Address classes, or classful networks, were used in the internet from 1981 until the introduction of classless interdomain routing in 1993, which is commonly known as CIDR or CIDR. Now, prior to 1993, address classes were used to divide the IP version 4 address space into 5 address classes. The 3 that we're going to concentrate on here are class A, B, and C, which are used for unicast traffic. Class D is used for multicast, and Class E is reserved for future or experimental purposes. Address classes have been superseded in IP version 6. IP version 6 does not use address classes. And in IP version 4, address classes have been replaced with CIDR. So the different classes of addresses, A, B, and C, were used to accommodate different sizes of networks, which aided in the classification of those networks. So as an example, a classful A address supports about 16 million IP addresses. So once again, we had class A, B, and C. These have been replaced or superseded by CIDR or CIDR, and address classes such as A, B, and C were determined and then allocated by the IANA or Internet Assigned Numbers Authority. This format is not used entirely in its original format today. Here's an entry on Wikipedia showing the list of Class A addresses. So each Class A address has approximately 16 million IP addresses, and if we scroll down the list, we can see various examples. AT&T have 12, Xerox 13, HP 15, DEC 16. So 15 and 16 are now owned by HP. Apple have 17, MIT 18, Ford 19, and so forth and so on. So notice, as an example, Apple own 17.0.0.0/8. Apple have 16 odd million public IP addresses that are part of the Class A address. So in the original IP address format, a Class A address consists of 8 network bits and 24 host bits. Hence it's written as /8, denoting 8 network bits. Now this was fine when the internet was small, but it quickly became a limiting factor, and thus multiple addresses were introduced with different size network portions. Hence we have Class A, Class B, and Class C addresses. Please note, once again, that class full addresses were replaced in 1993 with classless interdomain routing, or CIDR, also called CIDR. However, you may still come across commands that use the classful address format. An example of that is the network command within routing protocols. So as an example, if you use the network command on a RIP routing process, the command is written in a class-full format. It's also worth knowing a bit of the history and understanding why we have problems with the lack of IP addressing today. Hence, it's worth your learning about classful addresses for completeness. The breaking up of addresses was originally used to try and save or conserve IP addresses, but did not work in its original format, and thus was expanded and changed by CIDR. I'll explain CIDR in a moment, but let's first look at the various address classes in more detail.